All right, congratulations for opening up your mind to another way of socializing your child. Um, at one point in your life, if you're going to home educate your child or not, you still really need to think about, uh, this process a little bit. I didn't. I just knew that I didn't want them in a classroom with a bunch of kids. I did go through this system. I was in public school for kindergarten and for my junior and my senior year. The rest of the time I was in a private school. Still, there were 25 kids, 30 kids, depending on what year. So I do remember, being in that segregated setting. So my degree is in music education, so I went through all the education courses, how to be the classroom teacher and do that, beautifully. So I knew, about kinetic learners and audio learners and visual learners and all that kind of stuff. So that's kind of where I was coming from once I, was homeschooling. I had a good idea of what things, I knew what, teachers, they had objectives and they were supposed to fill out their little yada 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 little things and do their objectives. Anyway, so I just wanted to put all that aside and just be home with my kids. So little did I know that yeah, I didn't know this. I didn't do any. Well, we didn't have the internet really at the time I started home educating my kids, so I didn't know this. But when you go out in public during the daytime, it's kind of like, I don't know if you've seen Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, the Disney Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, where they go to the Swedish village, I think. I don't know. Anyway, and all the people are staring at the kids while they're walking around because there's no kids in the village. Anyway, that's kind of how you feel when you are home educating your kid and you go out in public. They just all like stare at you because they notice you. But anyway, they'll come up to you, they will interrogate you. And I found this out early on. They will ask your kid, first of all, how old are you? What grade are you in? What school do you go to? And it's the same song and dance every time. So the first couple times I got caught off guard with this, and the one question that they're going to ask you for the entire time that you're home educating is, oh, how are you going to, it's more like this. How are you going to socialize your kids? Do you see it? It's like robotic. And I just really got tired of that because, first of all, I felt like it was a very intrusive and rude question. I was like, what? So I got caught off guard a couple times. I'm not going to tell you how I handled this for the rest of those years because I handled it very strongly and kind of more passive aggressively. So, but it worked. It worked. If you want that, that's another video. But how I handle this now, even though I'm not home educating, but when I do tell people that I did educate my kids, and I still get the same, how did you socialize your kid? It's the same thing. And the reason I know what they're going to say is because they went through the system. They all learned exactly the same thing. They learned the same way. They're taught exactly the same amount of stuff and the same mob mentality. So they only have one question, which is very, it's just like a parrot. That's all they know. And so what I have learned over the years, instead of my little passive-aggressive way, well, I'll tell you what happened just like it was yesterday. I'm a substitute teacher in the public school system, and I was actually subbing for a social studies teacher, and I'm working through putting together an online business about home education. And so some of the kids knew that because I've talked to a couple of kids a few weeks ago. So they were actually interested in how my project is going. So a couple of other girls, one girl had to say it. She had to ask it. How did you socialize your kid? I knew it was coming. So I've learned that all I have to do is turn that question right back around to them and let them answer it themselves. So it was a really good teaching moment. So these two girls came over and they wanted to know more. So I said, okay, well, let me, first of all, ask you the question back. What do you mean by socialization? And she gave me this little look like, I don't know, And so her friend came over and she's like, well, what we were just learning about this in class. And she went and got her notebook and she opened her notebook and she was helping her friend with the answer. It was kind of, the lifeline kind of thing. So it was really cute to watch this. And she told her friend, she goes, we learned that the family unit is really the best way to socialize somebody. And the girl's like, that's right, we did learn that. So this really isn't the best way to socialize people. And then the other girl said, she looked at me, she goes, I bet your children are really socialized because they spend so much time with you and the family. I'm like, you guys got it. So basically, that is the answer. The more time you spend with your kids, they have when they're stuck in a room with just their peers, it is not really full spectrum of being socialized. I'm going to get into that in some of my other videos, so hang on for that. But the lesson here that we all need to learn is that there's more than one way to skin a cat here, and it is not just shoving people in a classroom segregated by age. So good for you for taking some time to really, think about this. And I encourage you, especially if you're starting out as a home educator, or, you've just started out or you're thinking about it, sit down with yourself and think about what you're going to say when, people ask you. I finally got tired of this question. I got sick of it. So I was like, all right, fine, you know what? And I'm really more, I'm more of an extrovert, so I was able to get away with my little passive aggressive kind of thing. As long as I smiled, it worked. And the thing is, if you do open up the conversation by asking them, well, oh, so sir, or ma'am, what do you think socialization really is? Well, then, if you're standing in the middle of the grocery store or wherever you are, then you're going to, have to go into a debate. I just didn't want to go into a debate with people because I'm just going to cut them right off. So, and that worked for me. But anyway, it was a fun learning moment for these girls to think through this a little bit more, and good for you for thinking through it today. So I'll see you in the next video, and until then, bye-bye.